Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking at one of the most bizarre days in the history of Australian politics, the attempted assassination of the then Labour Party opposition leader Arthur Calwell in 1966 by then 19-year-old factory worker Peter Kocan. But firstly we need to look into the background of Australian politics at the time. At the time, the Australian Labour Party was far less successful than Australia's other big political party, the Liberal Party, under the coalition government. The Australian Labour Party had held political office for less than 20 years combined since Australia's federation in 1901, and had been in the political wilderness since the 19th of December 1949, with Ben Chiefeley losing the election on the 10th of December 1949 to Robert Menzies, winning 74 seats to Labour's 47 seats. On the 13th of June 1951, Ben Chiefeley passed away, with Herbert Vere Everett, a former Justice of the High Court of Australia, winning unopposed. However, Robert Menzies would see an unprecedented political success, winning 5 elections in a row and becoming the longest-running Prime Minister in Australian history, and as the 60s rolled along it was clear that something had to change for the fledgling Labour Party. In 1960, Everett was appointed as Chief Justice of New South Wales by the local state New South Wales Labour government, which was seen as giving him a dignified exit from politics. 2 people would stand for leadership, Arthur Calwell and Reg Pollard, with Calwell winning with 42 votes or 58.3%, and Gough Whitlam became deputy with 38 votes. Calwell had been the Minister for Immigration and Minister for Information under the governments of John Curtin and Chiefeley, as well as the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party since the 20th of June 1951. He represented Melbourne, having been the member since the 21st of September 1940. 1961 would prove to be the toughest for Menzies, manifesting from a brief recession and a rise of unemployment, with Calwell winning the popular vote on a two-party preferred basis of 50.5%, but 2 seats short of the Liberal Party at 60 seats, and Menzies winning 62 seats, with Menzies ultimately winning another term. However, with Calwell seen as the party's golden child, he was kept as leader. However, Menzies called another election in 1963 due to difficulties in working with such a small majority of only 2 seats, and an early dissolution of Parliament was called, with another election held on the 30th of November 1963, with Menzies winning 52.6% of the vote and 72 seats versus Calwell's 50 seats. However, Calwell was maintained as leader, but he wouldn't be facing Menzies again, with Menzies retiring on the 26th of January 1966 and succeeded by Harold Holt, most famous for drowning on the 17th of December 1967, with no body ever found. While Labour kept Calwell, by this stage he was deeply out of touch, aged 69 versus a comparatively youthful 58 for Holt. Calwell also defended nationalism, was a strong socialist, and supported the White Australia policy, which aimed to forbid non-European ethnic origin migrants. He was facing an uphill battle with Australia heading into an election year in 1966, and all polls pointing to a massive Liberal win. At the same time, the Vietnam War was taking place, with Australian soldiers supporting South Vietnam, and the Liberal government bringing in conscription for the first time since the Second World War, and only the second time in Australia's history. However, the war enjoyed strong public support initially in Australia. On the evening of the 21st of June 1966, an anti-conscription rally was taking place at the Mossman Town Hall in Sydney, New South Wales, with Senator for New South Wales Doug McClelland of the Labour Party present. There, Arthur Calwell was to give a speech against the Vietnam War and against conscription. McClelland would describe the meeting as rowdy, while Calwell said that the meeting was without incident, although he estimated that about 20% of the 900 people there were rowdy. He told the crowds, "This is an unjust war, and we are in it only because America is." The Communist Party of Australia would describe the speech as powerful. Afterwards, Calwell left the meeting at 10:45 p.m. and walked to a waiting Commonwealth car driven by Frederick Smith. He was sitting in the passenger seat. He usually travelled with his car window open, but this time didn't, as he was about to depart and rolled his window up, which would save his life by his own admission and the admission of his wife Elizabeth, who noted that it was an inspiration as it ultimately deflected the bullet. Calwell would later account that there was an exploding sound coming from his left, and the glass in the front near side window shattered, and he felt a stinging sensation on the front of his face in the vicinity of his chin, and shouted, "I've been shot! I've been shot!" and realised someone had made an attempt on his life. Someone had attempted to shoot the opposition leader of Australia, with a bullet shattering the window and coming to a rest in the left lapel of his coat. He received numerous wounds to his face from the shattered glass and bullet fragments, with his shirt badly blood-stained, resulting in minor facial injuries. He re-entered the Mosman Town Hall to call his wife Elizabeth down in Melbourne, and then drove to Royal North Shore Hospital. This was only the third assassination attempt in Australian political history, and Channel 9 at the time noted that this was an ordeal rare in Australian political history. He was released the next day on the 22nd of June 1966, but who the hell would shoot Calwell? Was it a Vietnam War supporter? Was it a conscription supporter? Was it a Liberal Party supporter? Was it someone who was anti-socialism or anti-Calwell and his views on the White Australia policy? Well, it was actually a 19-year-old factory worker from Newcastle in New South Wales named Peter Raymond Kocan. Kocan was born Peter Raymond Douglas on the 4th of May 1947 in Newcastle. He never met his father, who died 3 months before his birth in a car accident, and when he was 5 his mother married Ludwig Kocan and the family moved to Melbourne, Victoria. While there, his mother's second marriage disintegrated, and his mother left Kocan, but Peter Douglas kept his stepfather's name. However, the disintegration of this marriage would deeply affect Kocan, and he noted that he never knew the affection of a father, and his childhood was filled with loneliness. Leaving school at 14, he mostly did odd jobs, working as a labourer and station hand in rural Australia, before moving to Sydney, becoming a factory hand in a dye works factory, living in the centre of the city on Lang Road in Centennial Park. It was during this time that Kocan's mental health deteriorated, writing to the then minor neo-Nazi political party, which never sounds good, the Australian National Social Party, which existed from 1962 until 1968, that he, quote, admired Hitler because he had killed himself at the right time. However, at the time of his arrest he had never been arrested, didn't have a criminal record, nor was he a member of a political party according to the Canberra Times. A week before the shooting, he saw that Calwell would be attending an anti-conscription rally at the Mosman Town Hall in a morning newspaper in Sydney, and decided to go ahead and attend the anti-conscription rally with the aim of shooting Calwell. On the evening of the 21st of June 1966, Kocan attended the anti-conscription rally at Mosman Town Hall. He hid a .22 caliber rifle in the grounds of a nearby Methodist church, and when the meeting ended, he went to retrieve it and concealed it under his coat. Waiting in the lobby of the town hall, he waited for Calwell to come out and went towards the car as Calwell was talking to others. By this stage, Calwell was about to depart and had rolled his window up. Drawing his gun, he then shot in the general direction of Calwell. He attempted to flee but was restrained by attendees of the rally. But what was Kocan's motivation? Well, the then 19-year-old would tell New South Wales police, "Unless I did something out of the ordinary, I realised I would remain a nobody all my life. I came to the conclusion that, however hard it was, I had to do something that would set me apart from other nobodies. I would not have done anything so cruel as to shoot someone if I had any alternative. That's why I shot Mr. Calwell. I wanted to assassinate some public figure. I did not agree with Mr. Calwell's politics, and that made it easier to choose him." Kocan later said that the shooting was logical at the time, with numerous political leaders having been assassinated in the early 1960s, including the first president of South Vietnam, Ngo Dinh Diem, who was killed on the 2nd of November 1963 during the 1963 South Vietnamese coup. The 8th Prime Minister of South Africa, Hendrik Verwoerd, who was killed on the 6th of September 1966. Malcolm X, who was killed on the 21st of February 1965, and perhaps most famously the assassination of John F. Kennedy on the 22nd of November 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. Kocan would tell psychiatrist Sidney Rowe that he had become fixated on death and suicide and had fantasies about imitating Oswald in shooting Kennedy. The next day, Calwell was discharged from hospital with stitches to his chin, returning home to Melbourne aboard an RAAF VIP Convair aircraft. He would tell the press, "All Australians are decent people. These things just happen. It could have been quite serious, but it's not. Everything's all right," and said that Kocan was mentally ill, but he forgave him and thanked Almighty God that he survived. He denied that the shooting would affect him politically. He told Channel 9 that his only plan was to sleep. According to Channel 9, the shooting would deeply shock Australia, and indeed when he was released amidst a heavy police presence in Sydney, media were warned not to approach him or get within 10 feet of him or they would be arrested. On the same day, Kocan was charged with shooting, wounding and attempting to murder Calwell. With bail set at $2,000, Kocan was remanded in custody. On the 12th of July 1966, Kocan's trial began at the Sydney Central Court. Pleading guilty to attempted murder on the 31st of August 1966, Kocan was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, with Calwell at sentencing amazingly consoling Kocan's mother and meeting her on the steps of the court, stating, "I am sorry," but he did not stay for the sentencing and left after lunch. Judge Sir Leslie Heron would state that imposing a life sentence was a very difficult decision for me to reach, but it is necessary for me to pass such a sentence to deter any other person from even considering an attempt upon the life and safety of our public man. He began his sentencing at Long Bay Jail, one of the most famous prisons in New South Wales. An appeal against his sentence was rejected unanimously on the 18th of October 1966. However, he was transferred to Ward 21 of the criminally insane in Morisset Mental Hospital in Morisset, south of Newcastle, with Minister for Health Harry Jaggor signing a certificate that he was mentally ill. Calwell visited Kocan 3 times while he was in prison and forgave him. It was while in Morisset Mental Hospital that Kocan would begin studying history, literature and poetry, having discovered the writings of British poet Robert Brooke. Between 1967 and 1969, he communicated with prolific poet Michael Dransfield, who, despite dying at the age of 24 of a heroin overdose on the 20th of April 1973, had written nearly 1,000 poems. In August 1976, after 10 years, Kocan was released from the psychiatric ward. He would go on to become one of Australia's best poets and writers, culminating in winning the Australia Council Writers Emeritus Award in 2010, one of the country's most prestigious writing awards, and giving him a prize of $50,000. Kocan would state upon receipt, "If I look at my own life story to this point, especially given, shall we say, the misadventures of the earlier part of it, I think that the lesson is clear that no matter how badly you've messed up or how deep the hole you've fallen into, it isn't necessarily the end." He graduated in 1998 with a Bachelor of Arts honours at the University of Newcastle, later obtaining a master's degree. He moved to Brisbane in Queensland in 2003, where he currently resides. As for Calwell, despite the attempted assassination, he lost the election to Holt badly, winning just 41 seats to Holt's 82 seats and winning just 39.98% of a popular vote. The Daily Telegraph would put it best in 2016, the 50th anniversary of the shooting, stating, "Labour leader Arthur Calwell survived a bullet, but not the polls." Relegated to the backbenches, he was replaced by a household name in Australia, Gough Whitlam, who would bring Labour back from the political wilderness on the 5th of December 1972. This ended 23 years of Labour Coalition Party rule. Calwell was still the representative for Melbourne and would be alive to see the victory of Whitlam, his former deputy, but passed away on the 8th of July 1973, becoming the 22nd longest serving Australian federal politician. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be informed of when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, have an amazing day, and remember that truth is always more interesting than fiction.